big a part of the planning process is the touring? That's another thing that's a big part of, particularly a rock band's marketing plan.
I mean, I like to plan the tours around, like, if there's going to be a lot of TVs, if there's award shows, if there's, you know, big events that we know the band will either be asked to be at or we think we're going to be at. I like to know that in advance because I like to route things in. I like to make it easy on the band. The worst thing is for bands flying around the world, and it's just the wear and tear. So if you can plan in advance and know that, okay, you know, Jules Holland only tapes in the first 2 weeks of October in the UK. So, okay, we know we want to do Jules Holland, so how are we going to, you know, route that in? One
of our friends, John Harrington, was in here talking about the touring business, and I think it's similar in terms of putting together a plan. You get your certain anchor things
you get
that
your
you
anchor
want to
dates.
have, and you build around those.
You know, if you're in Europe or, you know, and you're doing stadium shows, you know, the availabilities of these stadiums are, you know, they're tight, right? So, like Green Day this summer is going to play Emirates Stadium in London. They do 3 shows a year. So, you know, you have to sort of pick, you have to like go in early to try to be one of those bands, and hopefully because they turn a lot of bands down. So luckily we got one of the dates for June 1st, but, you know, that had to be planned way in advance.
Not to get into a touchy subject, but, you know, putting together a plan. You've been a manager for years, and you and I know that the music business is not like the technology business where you can put together a nice, sexy PowerPoint and have it always turn out the way you want it to plan. And things go wrong for any number of reasons. When it goes wrong, how do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, you wake up every day, you know, going, I mean, nothing's ever in stone in this business, right? So you have to be prepared every day to adjust. I mean, you know, the minute you think that everything's going great is the minute you're in trouble, right? So, you know, as you say, the paranoia, the whatever, you always have to be thinking about, okay, I always have to think about what's the worst case scenario? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen, and be prepared for that.
Yeah. Interesting to hear you say that, because, you know, a lot of times managers, people will say, you guys are being negative, when in fact, you know, more often than not, you're being realistic. You know, you're planning for the worst. I have a saying here in the office, let's just assume that everybody out there is trying to piss on our well-planned parade, and our mission is to make it easier to piss on somebody else's parade, you know, because it's tough making changes when you have a plan.